Troubleshooting common printer issues, part 4. And we can see here we have the print jobs window opened up, and we can see a print job that was paused here. You're always going to want to check these print jobs within the printer in Windows to see what's happening. Let's talk about 4 more issues, and that'll close it out for the printer issues. The first is no connectivity. Well, if you don't have any connectivity to the printer, you're not going to be able to print your documents, so you want to check the following. First, is the printer plugged in? Is it connected to an AC outlet? And is it online? You may have to set it to online on the LCD. Somebody might have set it to offline. You never know. Is the printer securely connected to the local computer via USB or to the network via RJ45? Is it connected to the wireless network properly, if that's the case? Does the computer in question have the correct print driver installed? Is the printer shared on the network if you're trying to connect to the printer remotely? Does the printer have a configured IP address, a proper IP address? And you can check this on the LCD display like we showed in a previous sub-lesson. And the printer needs to be set up as the default printer in order to show up automatically as the first printer on the list in an application. So you need to check that also. If we go to devices and printers here, you'll know because you have the check mark, and you can set the printer to default by right-clicking it and going into set as default printer. And we have an exclamation point here, which I'll show in a second at the one of the next issues. So no connectivity. Check all that stuff, the common stuff like is everything plugged in, but also check if they have the right driver and if it's set up as the default printer. Next is access is denied. If you get the access is denied message, if that appears on your screen while you're attempting to print, well then you don't have permissions to use the printer. So you or the network administrator will have to give the user account permissions for that particular printer. And this message might also be displayed when a person attempts to install a printer without the proper administrative rights. And a UAC message, a user account control message may come up. You never know. So if we right click on the printer in question and go to printer properties and then go to sharing, you'll see that we can share the printer from here. That needs to be shared first in order for remote people to connect to it. And then we go to security and we can see who has access. Now, in this case, everyone has access to print to the printer, but only this account and the administrators have full control of the printer. And if the everyone group wasn't here, you would either want to add that or just add the individual user by typing in the username or searching from it from a domain, if you're part of a domain. So you got to check that sharing, see if it's shared first, and check those NTFS level permissions in the security tab. The next issue is a backed up print queue. If your printer window shows several documents in the queue, but it's not currently printing anything, then a particular document might have stalled or was paused. Also, the print spooler might need to be restarted. And if you remember, we could do that in the services.msc console window, which is also in computer management. And we'd go down to print spooler, and you want to make sure it's started here. You could also stop it and start it, or just restart it. And don't forget about your net stop and net start commands in the command line that you can use. So you want to check that, make sure it's, the print spooler is working on that local computer. And you can do that in the task manager as well, or in the command prompt, so wherever you want. But you're going to want to check that list of documents as well. You're going to want to check the print jobs. If we go back to our devices and printers and right click on this printer and go to see what's printing, that'll bring up that jobs. And it might show up as a different name in the properties there, but it'll show all the jobs here. And it shows here that this was a 30-page document And in the image, I showed that I had paused it, but I also deleted it from here. You can cancel jobs, you can restart them or resume jobs, and that may help to clear the queue. But I tried to delete this guy, and it's not finishing yet. And one of the reasons for that is because the printer is out of paper. And the out of paper message will show up here in the print jobs window. It'll also show up on the LCD of the screen of the printer. And it's very common. Printers run out of paper. That's what happens. So you always check the obvious, and that's one of the obvious problems that you could have. Once I put paper back in the printer, this will finish deleting. If it does not, then we could try canceling it again. We could try disabling the printer. And finally, we might have to restart the printer and restart the Windows to fix the problem, to clear the queue. You could also try restarting the spooler service as well. So close that of there. And once I put paper back in, that exclamation point will go away. So backed up print queue. And lastly, color printouts are different than the screen. Well, the printout will always be slightly different than your screen. All screens are different, and people can configure them differently. But if the difference is more noticeable, if blue becomes purple or yellow becomes orange, then you want to check the ink in the inkjet printer or the color toner cartridge in your color laser and make sure none of the colors are empty. Verify that the printer is a PostScript capable printer, because most applications are going to want PostScript as opposed to PCL. And you want to make sure it can also do raster image processing, or RIP. If this functionality is not built into the printer, then it might be available as a separate software solution within Windows. So there's the rest of your common printer issues, and we did a lot of them. We did about 13 altogether possible issues that you might see. So apply that to when you're working with printers and for your studies for the A+ exam. And check out what we showed. Check out the printer properties and look at the spooling options and look at the jobs that try to print a job and watch what's happening with the job. Try pausing or deleting your print jobs with your own printer. And, don't forget, take a look at the sharing tab and the security tabs and really get to know all these configurations for the printer. That's going to help you to troubleshoot them much better. So that's it for this sub lesson.